because we believe that in a safety situation where every second, every minute counts, we want to get help to our users and our riders and drivers as fast as we possibly can. We have partnered with a leading NGO in the gender equality space, and we offer gender sensitization programs for our drivers.
Like a feature like ride check, right? It maybe needs to be sort of how do I put it? No, it needs to be customized based on your geo also, right? You can't have maybe the same signal being used in India and the same signal being used in Europe.
Just because we have data points from billions and billions of trips that have taken place on the platform, we have a good understanding of anomalous behavior that could happen on the platform. And on the basis of anomalous behavior, we can intervene even before something bad has happened. Now, from feedback from women drivers and women wanting to take trips on our platform, we have found out that women would like to get matched with women riders, especially at certain odd hours of the day, especially at night and in certain sketchy locations.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Our Own Devices. This time we are going to talk not about AI because that's been, I think, we've had too much of AI in our conversations over the past few weeks. We're going to talk about something all of us use, maybe use a lot, and that's Uber. And we're going to talk about how technology is helping make your Uber ride safer. So to talk about it, we have with us Mr. Sooraj Nair, who's the head of safety operations for India and South Asia. So Sooraj, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nandu. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
So again, so Uber and safety, we have had lots of conversations over the years, but you know, so Uber has also worked on a lot of industry leading features in the safety space. So if you can start by telling us what's really new in this space, what are the things that you have come out with recently?
Got it. I think let me start off with how we think about safety and what is
Yeah.
the role of safety uh, in the way that we work and the way that we operate, right? Safety is at the heart of everything that we do, with stand for safety actually being a core company value. We take consumer trust very seriously, and we go above and beyond simply our regulatory obligations to continually set a very high standard for safety, not just for ourselves, but also for the industry. Safety for us, we believe, is an ongoing commitment, and we believe that the work of safety never really stops. And our teams across operations, technology, and support are constantly innovating and are constantly working around the clock to ensure that people are getting to where they need to go safely. Safety, we believe that it's not just a feature or a slogan or a tagline and something that we just say. It's a responsibility that we take very, very seriously. And to the previous point that you raised, we believe that technology-led solutions can play a significant role in overcoming safety challenges and are vital to making our cities safer for its citizens. Today, it is possible to focus on user safety before, during, and after each trip in ways that have never been possible before. And our continued commitment to upholding the highest standards of safety is reflected through several industry-first initiatives that we have taken over the years. But we believe
Yeah.
that not just technology that is important for safety, but it's a mix of both technology and human intervention that brings safety to the platform. And we have essentially mapped out the entire trip journey right from the start of the trip to the end of the trip and even beyond. And we have added technological as well as support elements across each of these stages. And each of these interventions is just aimed at making sure that people are getting to where they need to go safely. And I say that the human element is really important because we cannot rely on technology for everything. Tech is an enabler. Tech helps us prevent incidents. Tech helps us get signals about something going wrong. But eventually, we also need a human layer which can intervene and help ensure that if support is needed, for example, then that is provided on the trip. But yes, evolution of technology, we believe, has had a tremendously positive impact on the safety of our services and our offerings.
So if you talk about technology in safety, and I've been very heavy Uber user over the years, and not just within India, outside India too. Um, you see a lot of things where I get the sense that you guys are, um, catching signals. Like, for instance, I had one experience where I think the car stopped because I can't exactly remember what was the reason. And then within a few minutes, I got a pop-up saying, "Hey, do you need assistance?" Right? So you have a lot of those kind of features where you are maybe looking at signals which could be out of the pattern, right? So how do you work on those kind of things?
Yeah, I think, and I'll come to that. The feature that you're referring to is called
Yeah,
right. But let me talk a little bit about the philosophy and how we arrive at these features and how these features
yeah, yeah,
are created, right?
yeah,
So from the time that we had street hail to now, just clicking on a button and getting a cab or a moto or an auto at your doorstep, I think technology has really uh, helped propel the ride hailing industry to new heights. I think some technologies emerge just because the overall technological landscape has evolved and the overall ecosystem has just gotten better. While there are other technologies that companies like us, just because of the effort and the investments that we have, there are certain technologies that we are able to pilot and we are able to pioneer. And that's how we push the industry. And I guess I mean, and this is an important intervention. Driver verification is a good example that talks about both these kinds of aspects, right? So, in order for us to get driver verification right, we need to do three things really well. Firstly, we need to know who the driver is, and we need to have the driver's validated details. Secondly, we need
yeah,
to make sure that we know the driver's past platform actions and we know the driver's background. And lastly, we need to ensure that the driver who signs up is the driver who is actually providing the service and not anybody else. And all these three, it's technology that has made all these three steps and all these three verticals highly effective. Firstly, because of the availability, and again, just without going into the weeds too much, but because of the availability of digital documents and digitization of documents, like for example, in M Parivahan, we have been able to develop highly effective systems at preventing document fraud. So, in a nutshell, if we get a driver document submitted, we have OCR that runs, and then basis the OCR, we get all the data fields captured, and then those data fields are validated against a verified government database, which helps ensure that doc fraud is curtailed.
yeah,
Secondly, we have also invested a lot in building robust image recognition controls. So when an earner submits a profile picture or an image of himself, that image is compared against the image of every other earner who has ever taken a trip or who has ever driven on the platform. The reason why we do that is because we want to ensure that if an earner has gotten rejected of the platform or has gotten deactivated of the platform in the past, that earner should not get a chance to come back onto the platform. And this, we believe, increases accountability on the platform. And the last one, which is very important, is that we have developed very robust and fraud proof mechanisms that help capture driver images periodically while the driver is online. And this helps ensure that the driver is the one who's actually providing the service and not anybody else. Now, these are examples of uh, technology really helping us operate at scale. And what do I mean by that? Basically, every month we reject or we prevent close to 55,000 people from creating fraudulent accounts on the platform basis these technological interventions. Now, this is an example of a technology that helps us operate at scale. But the reverse is also true, which is what you spoke about, which is right check. Just because
yeah,
we operate at scale and just because we have data points from billions and billions of trips that have taken place on the platform, we have a good understanding of anomalous behavior that could happen on the platform. And on the basis of anomalous behavior, we can intervene even before something bad has happened. So it's a way for us to spot something unusual that could be happening on a trip and then intervening to help ensure that we are resolving the situation before the situation has had time to escalate and turn into something nasty. That's what we called ride check. And I can maybe speak a little bit about ride check in itself.
Yeah.
I'll pause it and see if there are any questions.
No, so I understand your point. So it could also elaborate like a feature like ride check, right? It maybe needs to be sort of how do I put it? No, it needs to be customized based on your geo also, right? You can't have maybe the same signal being used in India and the same signal being used in Europe because like the context is very different. So how do you work on contextualizing these kind of features? And again, also the fact that now at least everybody is not in a four-wheeler, right? In India, you have three-wheelers and two-wheelers too, right? So how do you contextualize based on the mode of transport?
Yeah, so let me take a step back and talk about ride check a little bit and talk
Yeah,
about what it does, how it works, and then I can talk about this specific question. So, ride
sure.
check as a feature was first introduced in India in 2018. This was an innovation that was an industry first back then. And back
Yeah.
then, it was very rudimentary. The way that we did it was riders and drivers were given a push notification and were reached out if we saw that there was a midway drop. And if we saw that it was a night trip, we would also make a phone based outreach. And back then, it was just called proactive support. But the initial
Yeah.
callback process eventually improved. And today, we have this really robust and really effective system at catching multiple signals, like the GPS signals coming in from the phone, like the actual traffic data that is available with us for that specific geo and for that specific location, and telematics related data as well. And we have data points like these coming in real time. And the way and this is just the thinking behind this product. The thinking was fairly simple, that basis these data points, and since we have data points like these from billions of trips that have taken place in each geo and in each country and in each market, we were able to identify patterns in each of these markets, and we were able to identify the usual way trips progressed in these markets and these geos. Now, when we see that there is a deviation from this natural or this usual way that a trip goes through, we then try to intervene. And there could be many such uh, unusual behaviors or many such data points that we look at. Like, for example, if a vehicle is stationary for far too long at a certain spot, or if a trip is taking longer than expected to complete, or if we see that a vehicle is actually taking a detour where such a detour is not expected. So we detect these anomalies, and these anomalies then, at least to us, signal that there could be something potentially wrong with these trips. And on the basis of these anomalous signals, we then reach out either to the rider or the driver, and we don't want to be intrusive, and that's why we be very selective in these outreaches. But we
Mm.
reach out and we try to make sure that everything is all right, and they can let us know through the app if everything is fine, or if they need any support. And if they do need any support, we extend support on the basis of the specific situation that is presented to us. But again, just so that I'm closing this thought, it's very important that we have a robust support mechanism paired with right check. So right check alone, to the previous point that I was making, right check alone
Yeah.
is not sufficient, but it needs to be paired with a really robust support mechanism to have real impact, real world change.
So how does the support mechanism work in the backend? Like, you have a lot of stuff that is automated, but is there a threshold after which it comes into the attention of a human support agent?
Uh, there are no set thresholds, and these
Yeah.
thresholds are real time. And we
Okay.
have sophisticated machine learning models that run at the back end to alert us of possible issues on these trips, and if we do see anomalous behavior, so it's very difficult for us to define, or for me to tell you at this point what these thresholds look like. But you're right. I mean, by and large, that's the philosophy that we have, that if we see anomalous behavior and it crosses certain thresholds that we have set, and if riders and drivers want to be reached out, then we make an outreach and we try to ensure that everything is all right. And all of this happens really fast. And again, I can talk a little bit about our support mechanism also that we have, and the kind of technology that goes behind it. But
Yeah.
again, it's very important that such a technology be paired with a human layer.
Yeah. So how do you work on the human layer? Like, because it's maybe a little bit more tougher, more complicated and nuanced than your tech, right? Because you then need to also train them on how to talk. Maybe people are in panic situations. Like, how do you work on the human layer there?
I think for us, the 24/7 safety helpline is the best human support layer that we provide to our riders and our drivers. The 24/7 safety helpline was also an industry first when we first launched it in 2019. Now, what is the 24/7 safety helpline? Simply put, it is a phone number that is available to riders and drivers, and then they can reach out on that phone number while the trip is ongoing and 30 minutes post the trip, and they are connected to a live support agent in 99% of the cases in less than 30 seconds. Honestly, this is an example of a place where we are putting money where our mouth is. And the reason why I say that is because if I were to dilute some of these standards, and if I were to, let's say that instead of 30 seconds, I will provide support in, let's say, 10 minutes. Now, with this just small change, we will be able to cut down about 40% of the costs, which is a huge number. But we don't do that because we believe that in a safety situation where every second, every minute counts, we want to get help to our users and our riders and drivers as fast as we possibly can. And that's the reason why our support SLAs are the best in class, and our support SLAs uh, are probably I mean, better than most other companies out there. In fact, a lot of other companies actually have the callback option on safety support, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, what they do is that
Yeah.
you just press a button and then they'll call you in like 10-15 minutes. That doesn't
Yeah.
work in a safety situation. And in a safety situation, live safety situation, you need live support and quick support. And to your earlier point of just having trained agents, all of these support agents are based in-house. We don't have any external BPO or any vendors that take care of this work for us. All of these agents go through months of training and are prepped extensively before they get in front of a live call. In fact, the interesting anecdote here is that even here the technology aspect of investigating these inbounds. There is a lot of technology that goes behind the scene to make sure that we are investigating these cases and to make sure that we are finding out what really happened when a certain support ticket comes in.
The other thing I want to ask about is that, you know, even though it's not you know top of mind for people, but the safety of the driver is also a very important aspect of how you manage these things, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, we do not differentiate between rider or driver safety. For us,
Yeah.
riders and drivers, both of them are our customers, and the same kind
Mhm.
of safety features that exist on the rider side, whether it be 24/7 safety helpline, or whether it be ride check, or whether it be share my trip, or any of these features that we are talking about, all of them are available on the driver side as well. So we don't differentiate. We believe that drivers are also our customers, and I mean, safety for them is just as important.
And again, how do you look at a lot of women take your services? It is their preferred mode of transport, especially late at night and all of that. So,
Yeah.
so how do you work on creating features, sensitizing your teams, for instance? Are there specific features in the app, like we know about the SOS button, which is a few years old now? Have there been new features here? How has that evolved?
Yeah, I think women safety remains a top priority for us and is really important as a platform for us to get right. In fact, basis a recent survey, what we found out is that a majority of women, I think the number is around 85%, 85% of women riders take trips on our platform because they feel that it's a safer mode of transportation. And
Yeah.
here we actually have a mix of ops processes and technological intervention and policies to make sure that the platform is as safe as possible. Now, you asked about the driver side. Let me start off with the driver side, right? So, on the driver side for women safety, we actually have a dedicated support channel for our women riders. Now, that's an example of an ops process that we have in place to ensure safety of women drivers on the platform. But there are also tech interventions that we have made. Like, for example, in India, women make up a very small percentage of the overall driver population in the country. And according to some estimates, women constitute less than 2% of the commercial vehicle drivers in the country. For Uber, this represents a very significant opportunity for impact as well as for growth. And we believe that it's important to empower women drivers to be able to participate in the overall ride hailing ecosystem. Now, from feedback from women drivers and women wanting to take trips on our platform, we have found out that women would like to get matched with women riders, especially at certain odd hours of the day, especially at night and in certain sketchy locations. And hence, we actually launched something called Woman Rider Preferred in India, first for the ride hailing industry. And with this feature, we are actually giving them the choice to prioritize safety by allowing them to filter for women riders at times when they feel that it's necessary and when they actually want to just be paired with women riders. And this actually uses advanced machine learning algorithms to make sure that women drivers are getting paired with women riders. Now, on the rider side, also, there are several such technological interventions. One such intervention that I wanted to talk about is the gender sensitization program, which is one of the oldest programs that we have been running for several years now. And in fact, we are the only platform that currently offer gender sensitization program for our drivers. Uh, so again, just a little bit of thinking behind why we do it. Uh, it's because people's background, cultural beliefs, social settings, all of them have had a role to play in how they think and how they behave. And in a lot of situations, what we have found out is that male drivers don't necessarily know the best way to behave with women riders, and sometimes they don't even know that if a certain action or something that they say could be considered offensive or inappropriate. And that's why we have partnered with a leading NGO in the gender equality space, and we offer gender sensitization programs for our drivers. So again, just to summarize, I think women safety for us is really, really important, and we absolutely have a host of ops processes, technological interventions, and policies that help ensure women safety on the platform.
So, if I can ask you about the future, are there features which you are really excited about that it's coming uh, into the app soon? Uh, uh, are there new technologies that give you new opportunities? Like everybody's talking about AI, but AI also brings in, like for instance, predictive technologies. Like so are you working on these kind of things? And Uber has always had this leading edge space in bringing in these technologies into your processes.
I think multiple such exciting opportunities are being explored, and I don't want to talk ahead of time, but I can give you
Yeah.
one example. We spoke about ride check, right? So, in ride check, we actually have in multiple markets started piloting crash detection. So,
Okay.
depending on the GPS data and depending on telematics data, we will be able to say whether a crash has occurred or not. And in those situations, we can intervene and help provide support. And this is something that is being piloted in several markets, including India. And this is not something that has fully gone live yet, but this is going to be available to our users very soon. The same way we have also piloted very recently helmet verification for our moto drivers. We want to ensure that moto drivers are wearing helmets uh, while while they are operating on our platform, and that is something that uh, we try to ensure, because again we want to ensure that if there is a crash, our drivers are protected. So helmet selfies is something that really helps ensure that. And lastly, there is some exciting works happening on the app and on the driver's phone being used as a dash cam. So we know that if there is a dash cam in a vehicle, the security of that trip and the safety of that trip is a lot higher, because both the rider and the driver behave, and
Yeah.
accountability is really high. So we are actually piloting this product feature in some select markets to get feedback from users of using our app as a dash cam, and that would be something that the driver can just switch on his device. And privacy is going to be a key consideration in the design of this product feature, because we will actually have all these recordings being encrypted, which means that neither the driver nor the rider will be able to access these recordings, and the recordings can only be accessed if there is a safety incident. And as part
Got
of
it.
the safety incident, the rider or the driver submits the footage. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so again, this is an exciting product development that we believe could be a game changer.
I can understand how a dash cam can be a deterrent for a lot of yeah, for a lot of things. Before we wind up, one last question. If you had to pick one feature in all of Uber, which you think sort of is representative of what Uber stands for, what would that be?
That's an
Trick
interesting
question. Yeah.
that's that's an interesting one. But I think ride check would definitely be something that I would call is an amalgamation of everything that Uber stands for. The reason why I say that, it has advanced machine learning algorithms running and helping us spot anomalies. Uh, it has the human support element, which we excel at. It also speaks about how we have pushed the envelope on what is possible using technology, and how we have been the first to the industry with a certain technology. So I would say ride check, and that would probably be the best representation of what Uber safety stands for.
So, Suraj, thanks for giving us this very insightful, look inside how one of our favorite apps functions and how it keeps you safe, wherever you go. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Nandu. It was a pleasure talking to you.
So we'll be back again next week with another guest, lot more knowledge and insight. Till then, we are available everywhere you listen to your pods.